Hi everyone, it's Virginia Stanley from the Library Marketing Department at HarperCollins Publishers. We're on the third and final leg of Booking It to DC, which is our road trip to the American Library Association's annual conference in Washington, DC. So with me are my fabulous coworkers.
Christopher Richard Connolly, CRC for short.
God.
I'm Lainey Mays, and I don't know where that was going, but I'm Lainey Mays.
All right, so, and we've been having a lot of fun. We started in Princeton, New Jersey, and spoke about some books there, met some lovely people, and then we went on to Philadelphia and did the same thing, and now we're here in Baltimore County. So we want to thank our hosts, Jamie and Angelique, and everybody who's been so helpful to us in getting this thing put together. So, and there's a room full of librarians here who are anxious to hear about our books, so we're going to get started. So, the first book that we're going to talk about, Lainey?
Tell Me a Story by Cassandra King Conroy. So many of you know, I'm sure, Pat Conroy. He was just this legendary figure of 20th century Southern literature. Wrote The Prince of Tides and The Great Santini, well known, a lot of like South Carolina Low Country. And so he unfortunately passed away. He lost a battle with cancer, and so his wife, Cassandra King Conroy, who is an author in her own right, this is her memoir about their life together. And when they met, she was a newly divorced preacher's wife and a professor, but also a debut author. And then she met, and she lived in Alabama, and he lived in South Carolina, and he says that partly the only reason they got married is because he didn't like the drive. They had a great love story, and this is the 18 years that they spent together, passion for food and literature and all of the things that come with his home in the Low Country. I think he speaks really well about it, but I think he really loved it as well. And I have a great quote from someone else that speaks about the Low Country really well, Dorothea Benton Frank. Who wouldn't want to know what it was like to be married to Pat Conroy, one of the greatest writers to ever spring forth from the Low Country of South Carolina? Cassandra's widow takes you inside their deep and abiding love in this beautifully and soulfully written memoir. So if you're a fan of Pat Conroy or a fan of Cassandra, like this is the perfect mix for you, or just to find out more about him and then maybe pull you into some of his books. But that's Tell Me a Story, Cassandra King Conroy, and it comes out in October.
Okie dokie. I am going to talk to you about Lost in the Spanish Quarter by Hetty Goodrich, which is a debut novel. And here's the galley. The jacket is completely different. The jacket, I think, is on your handout. It's beautiful. But you can get an advanced read. Now, this is a coming-of-age novel heavily based on Hetty's own life. So Hetty she's from Washington, D.C., actually, and then she now lives in New Zealand, but she spent her formative years, like her college years, in the Spanish Quarter, which is this kind of like crumbling old neighborhood in Naples, just incredibly romantic and atmospheric, and full of mystery. And this is where Hetty came of age. And so this novel's based on her life, and it all starts with a character, the central character, whose name is Hetty, receives an email from an ex-boyfriend who she met while studying in Naples, and this email kind of triggers this looking back upon her life and all these memories, specifically of a coming of age in this very unique and seemingly magical place in Naples. And it's a love letter to the place. Hetty actually, again, she's American originally, but she wrote it in Italian and then translated it to English. Like, that's how much she adores this place. And this has already been published in Italy, and the reactions, it's drawn a lot of acclaim. And I think what makes this novel so special is the fact that it is this like desperate, it's told with this desperate longing to belong in this place that you're not really from. And that adoration and that love and that respect really comes through in the book. It really is an immersive look at this really unique place in the world. So very charming, beautifully written, and Hetty's a really interesting person. So I highly recommend you check it out. It's going on sale in September. Yes, so that's Lost in the Spanish Quarter.
Okay. The book that I'm going to talk about is The House of Brides by Jane Cockrum. This is a debut. It's a gothic novel. It's 100,000 announced print, so I always sort of point that out when a debut novel gets that kind of, a heft. And this book really delivers. It's about this woman who she's living in the States, and she has a job, but she becomes internet shamed. She's done something that just forces her to lose her job, and she has to go home and live with her father and stepmother, and she sort of licks her wounds, and she's had a rough couple of years. Her mother, her natural mother, had died when she was young. Her mother was an author. Her name was Tessa Summer. And the only connection that this girl, Miranda, has to her deceased mother is this book that the woman had written, which is called The House of Brides. And it chronicles the generations of women that married into this infamous Summer family in England, in this big, sprawling Barnsley estate. Barnsley House, they called it. And so each woman in this family was more notorious than the next. There was Gertrude Summer, who was this famed crime novelist, and this Miranda's grandmother, who had killed herself after setting a wing of the Barnsley on fire while her children were sleeping. Kind of crazy house going on there. And the current bride of the house is married to this woman's uncle. Her name is Daphne, and she's this famed celebrity chef. And apparently, she's been told that she all but saved Barnsley from ruin by turning this place into a culinary destination and a hotel. So she's confused. Her life has kind of gone nowhere. There's this whole section of her family she knows she is told what's going on there, but she gets finds this mysterious letter from her young cousin, and she decides she's going to go to Barnsley and see what's going on, because she's just going to take a giant step back and reassess her life. And so she goes there, but they don't know her, really. So she goes under the guise of this, there's a job opening, and so she goes there as a nanny to see what's going on. When she gets there, it's nothing like what she thinks it is. It's first of all, they can't find Daphne anywhere, the one who's married to the uncle. She's disappeared. And this luxury, award-winning restaurant doesn't exist. And then she finds, worst of all, one of the children that's living there is in a wheelchair after a mysterious accident. So all this stuff has gone on. What happened to the house? Where's Daphne? What happened to this kid? Crazy. So she's now sort of found a purpose to her life. And so she throws herself into this. So it's real, like I said, it's gothic, and it's very chewy and very page-turning. It's sort of like, the classic novels brought to current times. So, they're saying it's like, millennials will love this, but I don't really like that. But I think that, it's kind of cool. So anyway, and there's a really cool thing about, there's been comps to Daphne du Maurier in The House of Haunting Hill. Here's a great quote. I love this. There's two that are really good. I'm going to read this one by Ellen LaCourte, who wrote The Perfect Fraud, which is really good chewy psychological thriller. So what she says about this is it's a twisty, turny ride through the English countryside. Set in a spooky manor home on a rocky coast, this is the story of multiple generations of powerful women whose actions lead to a mystery that winds through the ages. Cochrane's descriptions are so lush that you'll have no problem immersing yourself in the location, but you won't be prepared for the explosive ending. Fans of Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights, and Rebecca will love this. So that is The House of Brides, and that is coming out in October.
Okay, The Lying Room by Nikki French. So you may know Nikki French. They are a synonym for an English wife and husband team from the UK. They wrote the really best-selling series, Frida Klein series, if you're familiar. But this is a really thrilling standalone, so we're excited because it's not part of a series. It's all by itself. And in this story, we find a woman, Neve, who has a midlife crisis fling at the same time. So we're looking for something new, has this fling with a man that she knows, and she goes back the next day after she thinks it's just one time, although she goes back to see him, and murdered. Doesn't know, walks into this. Her scent even is just everywhere, all in this house. And so she has to decide, I don't really want people to know about this. Am I gonna erase myself from this picture and no one will know. She decides that's the path she's gonna go on. So she goes to the whole house. Everything is gone, nothing of me is here. But then at the end she leaves and she's thinking, what am I forgetting? So, bring in Detective Chief Inspector Alistair Hitching. So this inspector is kind of going after her back and forth, and everything that she thinks is tied up just keeps, the ends keep unraveling, and she just can't keep up with it. But then, as she's trying to keep all this under wraps, she decides that not only is maybe she's uncovered, but there's someone maybe looking for her to kill, because she's not, maybe she's the next victim. It's really fun and a psychological thriller, crime. You have the detective angle as well. It's really fun, a fun standalone from them. And I have a really cool quote from A.J. Finn, who wrote Woman in the Window, as you know. So, attention fans of Tana French and Ruth Ware, meet your new obsession. A thriller as combustible as gunpowder, as propulsive as a jet engine, psychological suspense at its brightest and most blazing. What a quote. So that's The Lying Room. It's available in October.
All right, back to me. This is The Butterfly Girl by Renee Denfeld. Did anybody read The Child Finder? Did you love it?
I did,
Thank you.
very much so.
Thank you.
I was very excited to see this on here.
Oh, good, good, good. I don't know if you can hear that.
They
but
can.
They can?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good. Huh?
You are all heard, so if you have something to say,
You all have a
speak
voice.
up because the internet can hear you, and that is great. We want to hear you.
The internet can hear you, and so can we. Thank you. The Child Finder was by Renee Denfeld. Sold 80,000 copies in the first year, and it really put her on the map. It is about this woman who has this uncanny ability to find lost children. So when these cases have gone cold and nobody can figure this out, the cops are done, the detectives are done, in comes this woman, Naomi, and she has this innate sense and ability to figure it out. Now, I love that book because I don't really know that I want to read a book about a kid that's gone missing and what's been happening to that child. I thought the way she handled that was so great, didn't you? I mean, I didn't feel like it didn't exploit, it wasn't,
It wasn't overly graphic,
right,
but you still knew that terrible things were happening.
yes,
I liked the back and forth between the different characters, their perspectives of what was happening at the same time.
yeah. And the parents, oh, it's so good, and I just think handled so well. Thank you for saying that. So she is back. Renee Denfeld is back with this new book. You do not have to have read The Child Finder in order to read this one. It is another story. Well, she first has said that the character is saying that she does not want to take on any more cases until she can find her own sister. But her searching brings her to Portland, Oregon, where there are tons of homeless kids, and she meets one and connects with this girl who's about, I think she's 12, and she's got a story. She's got an abusive stepfather and an addict for a mother, and so Naomi is. Naomi's is just, she's taken her under her wing. And speaking of wings, the child herself is, she loves butterflies. She loves everything about them, and she feels comforted by them, and so that plays into the story. And so I'm not going to tell you more than that because I just feel like this is something that you need to read. She knows what she's doing. She's so smart. She knows her stuff, and there are pages of quotes that are raving about this book. So don't take it from me, listen to them. Margaret Atwood, a heartbreaking, finger-gnawing, and yet ultimately hopeful novel by the amazing Renee Denfeld. Mary Kubica, equal parts chilling, tragic, and hopeful. Renee Denfeld's new novel combines her haunting lyrical prose with a page-turning and harrowing mystery, putting the Butterfly Girl into a league of its own. Fans of the Childfinder will devour this. And again, you don't need to have read the Childfinder in order to fall into this, but if you want a copy of the Childfinder, send me an email and I'll send one to you. And I would love to hear what you have to think, what you have to say, and then I would love for you to take a look at this one. So that's Butterfly Girl by Renee Denfeld. Really wonderful.
Okay, next is Face It. Do we have any Blondie fans in here? Okay, so we have Debbie Harry's much-awaited autobiography, and we're really excited about this one. So if you're not familiar with Blondie, Debbie Harry is the lead singer. They've sold over 50 million albums worldwide, and they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2006. They are part of the 80s punk rock scene, American Psyche. Like everyone loves them if you love that sort of music. And Debbie Harry herself, she's done so many things besides music. I've even found out like she's in all these movies. She even influenced a lot of the music around that time in the jazz scene, but also like bringing new like hip hop people into her music and giving them a voice. She's just like this complex person because you had her as more of she was like a rock and roll person where you were like, yeah, and I call this a girl power book, which is really fun. But she's very complex. There's like this sophisticated part of her where she pretty much overcame her just being a female in the music business. She is an enigma. She is this part of the music business. But she has this like punk cool alongside the sophisticated. So I think anyone who is interested in that era of music or Blondie and Debbie Harry, this will be for you. But it's going to be like inspirational and entertaining, and you're going to learn a lot about her. There's an introduction by Chris Stein with rare personal photos and illustrations. There's going to be fan artwork installations that are shown in here. Much like Stevie Nicks, Patti Smith, if you liked their music and just them as this cultural phenomenon, then this is going to be for you. So that's Face It by Debbie Harry. That's coming out in October as well.
Debbie Harry, who came to our Book Expo, our CEO's party at Book Expo, and some of us got to meet her, and everybody just stopped being cool. And Debbie was just like, what? Can we get a picture taken with you? It was really cute.
Yeah.
And she was so sweet.
Tears were shed. They were excited.
Were shed. Oh my God, tears were shed. And she said she loves libraries, and she's a big reader, so we're going to find out what books Debbie Harry likes to read and then mail them to her, or bring them to her house.
I'll deliver them.
Okay. What's next?
Me.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna be cool.
Be cool.
I'm cool. Drink my Diet Pepsi. You guys ever watch us on Facebook Live? We do this every month, just to let you know, and we talk about new books. Sometimes we cook recipes. I was just thinking about that while drinking my Diet Coke, because one time we made spaghetti from... So we published, I don't know if any of you here read The 7 or 8 Deaths of Stella Fortuna by Juliet Grames. It was a huge debut by us. We highly recommend. Again, I'll send you a copy. But she did a recipe booklet with it, and we made spaghetti. And I tried to eat the spaghetti off to the side on Facebook Live, and everyone called me out on the internet for trying to eat spaghetti, because it's just not an easy thing to do gracefully on camera, and I didn't. But yeah, join us, check us out in the months ahead. We'll be doing more of these.
Sound machines.
We also have sound machines which we haven't really used.
We haven't.
Let's see.
Get it up.
Is there a spaghetti eating sound? No.
No.
No, there isn't.
I feel like I would eat spaghetti to that.
Yeah, you can eat spaghetti to anything, doesn't matter. But I digress. Books. Let's talk about books. I'm going to talk about The Andromeda Evolution by Michael Crichton and Daniel Wilson. So Michael Crichton's The Andromeda Strain was published 50 years ago, which I think is crazy. Spawned the techno-thriller genre, kind of made Michael Crichton a household name. It's a big deal. And now we're publishing the sequel. Again, Daniel Wilson is working with the Crichton estate to publish this. Daniel is a New York Times bestselling author himself. He wrote Robopocalypse and the sequel Robogenesis. He's published over a dozen scientific papers and holds 4 patents, because why not, on top of publishing books. But this is picking up again 50 years after the end of the Andromeda Strain. We're keeping the story pretty tightly under wraps, but needless to say, the Andromeda Strain that mysteriously disappeared at the end of that book has now come back to Earth, and it's going to come down to a new generation of scientists to keep it at bay. So yeah, we're absolutely thrilled this is coming in November. We don't have galleys yet for this, but obviously we have a lot of Michael Crichton fans. His last book he published was Dragon Teeth, which was a New York Times bestseller. So it's always a big deal to have a book by him. Email me, and as soon as we have something available to read, I can hook you up. Just let me know. And then for Facebook Live, actually, I think the last title we're going to be presenting is something very closely tied to Michael Crichton and the Andromeda Strain. It's Cold Storage by David Koepp. So David Koepp, here's the galley. Thank you, Virginia. Beautiful. This is a big deal for us. This is a big, big book. It's in a 500,000 announced first print, if that helps position it for you. David Koepp is he's a famous, highly successful, critically lauded Hollywood screenwriter. He wrote, actually, the screenplay for Jurassic Park. Michael Crichton, there's the connection. Amongst many others, Mission Impossible, highly successful. But this is his debut. And it is very much in the Michael Crichton vein, where it mostly takes place over the course of a single night, but the scene is set by, you're in this dusty, deserted town in the middle of America, and it's gone radio silent. And so this really high-level bioterror operative is sent there with his team to kind of get to the bottom of what happened. And what he's found is every single person in this town has gone to the top of their roof and seemingly exploded. They burst. And that sounds really gross, I know, but this is like a heightened kind of mix of terror and humor in this book. And what they find is this satellite crash landed, and it carried with it a very dangerous organism, highly mutative, that infects the host and turns you into kind of like this zombie whose only goal is to continue spreading this organism. And so what you do is you climb up to the top of any high building, and that's the best chance for you to explode and spread, and it's a bad, bad deal. But they managed to contain this organism, and they put it way, way down underground in cold storage. And time passes, it's kind of forgotten about, there are cutbacks, the government has to sell off this land, and a big old storage facility is built on top of it. And time goes on. But of course the Earth's getting a little warmer at the same time, a few degrees here and there, and this cold storage unit is not so cold anymore. And so you find these two late night security guards, one's an ex-con, one's a single mother, and basically they're whiling away their night, telling jokes, they have a great rapport, they're wonderful characters, and weird things start to happen in this storage facility, including a gang of bikers who tries to infiltrate for their own purposes, and some of them start to get infected, and it comes down to these two security guards and this Roberto Diaz, who was the original bioterror operative. They all converge one night in the storage facility, and the fate of the world is at stake as they try to contain this organism. It is like a giant, high-budget Hollywood film because it's David Koepp. That's what he does. It's brilliant, really cinematic, so much fun. Let's see, what else do I want to tell you about it? I do have a great quote lingering somewhere around here. Oh shoot, what is it?
It's
Blake Crouch. Blake Crouch, so who, I don't know if you read Dark Matter, great sci-fi novel if you haven't. He basically compared it to a mix of Carl Hyacin mixed with Michael Crichton. So that kind of positions it. It's like really thrilling, funny, and it's actually going to be a film. I'm going to let you guess who's writing the screenplay for it. David Koepp. It's David Koepp. So, yeah, it's coming in November. No, excuse me, it's coming in September. So you don't even have to wait that long. And we do have galleys here. Check it out. I love this book. It's so much fun. So, yeah.
okay, and I think that's our last Facebook Live title.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. You now, everybody on Facebook, if you joined in yesterday and today, you can go back and watch it, share it. You'll have heard every title that we've presented. So thank you for joining in. We are booking it to DC, so share that hashtag and come see us at the HarperCollins booth 1222. Oh my God, I can't believe I got that. It's booth 122, HarperCollins. Don't go to anybody else, it's just HarperCollins.
1222.
1222, just
3
come
2
on.
1 1.
Look at it, there's a program. I'm kidding. 1222.
Library Love Fest.
All right, librarylovefest.com. All of this is on there. Anything that we talked about, just shoot us an email. We'll send you whatever we can. So thank
Tiki
you.
Hut's coming. So
Yeah, the
we'll be at
Tiki Hut's
booth.
coming. All right, Mr. Michael.